When people hear about roads being built, they usually think of massive machines. Heavy bulldozers, giant trucks, and an army of engineers wearing hard hats. But what if I told you that in one of the most overlooked corners of Africa, an entire network of 1,000 kilometers of roads is being built almost entirely by hand, with a technique so simple yet so powerful, it is changing the way people think about development. That's exactly what Ibrahim Traoré'S project is doing. And trust me, once you hear about this, it will stay with you. Burkina Faso is a landlocked country in the Sahel, a place that has often been painted with images of struggle, hardship, and endless challenges. For decades, foreign powers and international contractors have been the ones who decide what development should look like. They bring in their expensive equipment, take massive loans, and leave behind debt more than progress. But here comes something different, something fresh, something almost revolutionary. Traore, the young, bold leader of Burkina Faso, has decided that the nation does not need to wait for others to build its future. And so, this project was born, rooted in simplicity and self-reliance. The method being used is called Do Nou, a Japanese-inspired soil reinforcement technique that uses sacks filled with earth to stabilize and strengthen roads. It sounds too simple, right? But the brilliance lies in its practicality. Instead of waiting for million-dollar machines, local communities are filling these sacks, layering them, and creating roads that are durable, affordable, and shockingly effective. Imagine people working side by side, young and old, men and women, picking up shovels, digging, carrying, and laying the foundations of roads that will connect villages to towns, markets to cities, families to opportunities. This isn't just construction, this is empowerment in motion. When you think about it, roads are more than just paths. They are lifelines. A farmer in a remote village finally has a chance to take his produce to the market before it spoils. A student can reach school without wading through mud and floods during the rainy season. A mother can reach a hospital in time instead of being stranded because the dirt road is impassable. Every kilometer of road is a story of hope, a bridge to opportunity, and a small victory against the feeling of isolation that so many rural communities live with. That's why this project is so powerful. It's not just about building roads. It's about building dignity. Now picture the scene. Groups of villagers gathering every morning, sharing food, laughter, and sweat as they take part in this project. You don't hear the roar of machines, but you do hear the rhythm of human determination, the scrape of shovels, the thud of filled sacks hitting the ground, the laughter of children running around watching their parents build a future for them. This is development owned by the people, not imposed from outside. It's raw, it's real, and it's deeply emotional. What makes this even more remarkable is how affordable it is. Instead of pouring billions into contracts that often get siphoned away, the Do Nou method uses local resources. The soil is right there. The sacks are cheap. The labor is from the community itself. Suddenly, the impossible looks very possible. In just months, what would have cost fortunes and taken years with foreign companies is becoming a reality with the sheer willpower of people who want to change their destiny, and you can feel the pride. There's something beautiful about watching people take ownership of their development. When villagers see a road they built with their own hands, they don't just see a road, they see strength. They see independence. They see proof that they don't need to be at the mercy of others to create change. It sparks something powerful in the human spirit, a belief that if they can do this, then what else can they achieve? Together, for Ibrahim Traoré's, this isn't just a project to fix infrastructure. It's a statement. It's a challenge to the narrative that Africa must always rely on outsiders to build, to innovate, or to progress. He is showing through action, and not just words, that even the most resource-constrained country can rise through creativity, resilience, and collective effort. It's a slap in the face of the idea that progress must come wrapped in expensive loans and foreign contracts. Instead, progress is being woven right into the soil of Burkina Faso, by the hands of its own people. Of course, this isn't easy work. Building 1,000 kilometers of roads by hand is back-breaking labor. It requires endless patience, teamwork, and endurance. But what's inspiring is how the communities have embraced it not as a burden, but as a duty. When you see farmers laying sacks after spending hours in their fields, or mothers carrying materials while caring for their children, you realize that this project is fueled by something much bigger than cement or soil. It is fueled by hope, by love for the nation, and by a fierce desire to leave behind something better for the next generation. And let's not forget what this means in the larger picture. The Sahel region has often been a place where bad news dominates the headlines: terrorist attacks, poverty, instability. But now, here is a story that flips that script. A story of resilience, creativity, and self-reliance. A story where a young African leader is not begging for aid, but instead rallying his people to build their future with their own hands. It's powerful, it's inspiring, and it's something the world needs to pay attention to. 1,000 kilometers of roads may sound like just a number, but behind that number are thousands of lives being changed. Behind that number are millions of dreams finally finding a path. And behind that number is a symbol of Africa taking control of its destiny in ways that many never thought possible. This is not just about infrastructure. This is about rewriting the narrative of what Africa can do when it believes in itself. Ibrahim Traoré'S road project is not just about laying down stones and soil to connect villages. It is a living symbol of resilience, innovation, and the unstoppable will of people who refuse to be left behind. In a world where big nations boast about billion-dollar highways and modern infrastructure funded by foreign loans, here stands a young African leader who has chosen a different path, a path carved by the hands of his people using a method that is as humble as it is powerful. Do New technology. At its core, Do New is a simple yet brilliant concept. Villagers gather local soil, pack it into sturdy bags, then lay those bags in a structured manner to form the foundation of a road. Layer after layer, the earth itself is transformed into a durable surface that resists erosion and can carry the weight of traffic. It is a grassroots technology in the truest sense, because it does not rely on imported machinery or foreign contractors. Instead, it calls on the strength, knowledge, and determination of ordinary citizens who believe in building their own future. When people hear about this project, they often react with surprise. 1,000 kilometers of road built by hand? It sounds almost unbelievable in an age of concrete giants and steel machines. But that is precisely what makes it so inspiring. It shows that progress does not have to be chained to billion-dollar loans, and that innovation does not only happen in shiny laboratories or elite universities. Sometimes innovation is born out of necessity, out of the refusal to give up, out of the courage to say we will find our own way. This project has become a story of unity. Imagine villagers side by side, shovels in hand, their faces lit with determination as they fill bags with earth. Imagine the rhythm of hands working together, the sound of voices singing as they labor under the sun. It is not just road work, it is community work, a shared mission that strengthens bonds between people. Every bag laid down on that path is more than soil. It is pride, hope, and ownership of the future. And that is where the deeper meaning lies. Roads are not just strips of land for vehicles to pass. They're lifelines. They connect farmers to markets, children to schools, families to hospitals. They carry dreams from isolated villages into the heart of opportunity. Without roads, people remain cut off, their potential buried under the weight of isolation. But with roads, everything changes. Suddenly, a farmer can sell his produce beyond his own village. A child can walk to school with greater safety. A mother can reach medical help in time. These things may sound small to outsiders, but to the people living them, they are everything. And this is why Ibrahim Traoré'S decision to push forward with Do New technology is so groundbreaking. He understood that his country could not wait for foreign aid packages that come with strings attached. He understood that waiting for modern machinery or international contracts would take years, if not decades. Instead, he turned to his people, to their hands, their spirit, and their unity. And in doing so, he reminded them that they already carry the power to transform their land. This project is also a lesson in dignity. Too often, Africa is painted as a continent dependent on outside help, as if its people cannot create solutions for themselves. But Do New technology proves otherwise. It is not only practical, it is deeply symbolic. It says to the world, we will build with what we have. We will innovate with our own minds. We'll stand on our own feet. There is a quiet strength in this approach, a kind of defiance against the narrative of dependence. And it is exactly this defiance that makes Ibrahim Traoré'S road project resonate so deeply across Africa. Of course, challenges are real. Building roads by hand is not easy. The work is slow, the sun is harsh, and the physical toll is heavy. But the people endure because the reward is greater than the pain. Every kilometer completed is celebrated not just as an achievement of infrastructure, but as proof that resilience can turn into reality. When you think about it, this project is not only about the roads themselves. It is about shifting mindsets. It is about proving that the impossible can become possible when people unite with purpose. It is about showing that the future does not have to be bought with foreign currency, but can be built with the soil beneath your feet and the sweat on your brow. In this way, Do New technology is more than a method, it is a movement. People to look at their environment differently, to see potential where others see limitations. A bag of soil might seem insignificant on its own, but when multiplied by thousands, organized with vision and powered by collective spirit, it becomes the backbone of transformation. The symbolism is powerful. Small efforts, when combined, build great roads. And that is exactly the message Ibrahim Traoré has sent to his people and to the wider world. He is not simply constructing infrastructure. He is constructing belief, resilience, and a model of innovation that challenges conventional thinking. This is why the story of Burkina Faso's hand-built roads has spread so quickly, touches something human in all of us. It reminds us that progress is not about luxury or perfection, but about courage, unity, the determination to keep moving forward, even when the odds seem stacked against you. When you hear about the construction of 1,000 kilometers of roads by hand, almost sounds unbelievable in today's modern world. We're so used to seeing heavy machines carving through land, massive trucks pouring concrete, and giant bulldozers flattening paths. But in Burkina Faso, under the vision of Ibrahim Traoré, something very different happened. Instead of waiting for expensive foreign companies or relying on equipment that the nation could not afford, the people themselves came together. With their hands, their tools, and their determination, they began building roads that connected villages, towns, and regions. This wasn't just about infrastructure. It was about proving that unity and collective action can create miracles where resources seem scarce. What makes this effort so powerful is not just the physical road that appeared across the land, but the spirit that it awakened among the people. Imagine hundreds of men, women, and even young people gathering each day, carrying stones, arranging soil, and laying down layers by hand. There must have been sweat, exhaustion, and moments of doubt, but there was also laughter, encouragement, and a feeling that every single hand mattered. That is the kind of spirit that no bulldozer can replace. Every meter of that road tells a story of courage and contribution, a story of neighbors working side by side for something greater than themselves. Think about the pride a villager must feel when they walk along a stretch of road they helped build. It's no longer just a path to travel. It's a symbol of their effort, their resilience, and their unity. And that sense of ownership is priceless. A road built by foreign companies may be impressive, but a road built by your own community, with your own sweat, something that bonds people together in ways no money can buy. That's what makes this project not just construction, but transformation. This community-driven development also sends a powerful message to the world. It shows that development doesn't always need to be about massive loans, outside dependency, or imported machinery. Sometimes what you really need is people who believe in themselves and are willing to stand together. It challenges the narrative that Africa must always wait for foreign saviors or international aid to move forward. Instead, it highlights the fact that innovation, unity, and collective hard work can accomplish what many might think is impossible. Of course, it wasn't easy. Imagine the heat of the sun bearing down on workers as they carried soil in baskets, the blisters forming on hands, the aching backs at the end of each day. But alongside that hardship was the joy of progress. With every meter completed, there must have been celebrations, cheers, and renewed energy. Children would have watched. Their parents contribute, learning lessons about resilience, teamwork, and hope. Elders would have shared stories, reminding everyone why the road mattered to connect markets, to bring medicine, to shorten journeys that once took days. These are not small things. These are life-changing benefits, built by the hands of the very people who would use them. And in a deeper sense, this road is more than just a connection between villages. It is a connection between hearts. When people unite for a common purpose, they rediscover their strength. They learn to trust one another, to rely on one another, and to dream together. The road becomes a thread weaving communities into a stronger fabric, one that cannot easily be torn apart. That kind of unity is the foundation of true independence and self-reliance. The project also inspires others. Neighboring regions and even people outside Burkina Faso look at this achievement and begin to wonder what they can do with their own hands, their own communities. It sparks a sense of possibility. If 1,000 kilometers of road can be built by hand, then what else can be achieved with determination and unity? It encourages a mindset shift from dependency to empowerment. From waiting for help to creating solutions together. It is also worth noting the symbolic weight of this project. Roads are lifelines. They carry food, medicine, knowledge, and opportunities. By building them with their own hands, the people of Burkina Faso showed that they are literally carving out their own future. That symbolism matters deeply. It tells every citizen that they are not powerless, that they are capable of shaping their destiny, brick by brick, meter by meter. So when we talk about this achievement, we're not just talking about the distance covered, we are talking about the human spirit that made it possible, the sweat that turned into pride, it's the effort that turned into progress, the unity that turned into transformation. Building 1,000 kilometers of roads by hand is not just about connecting places on a map. It is about connecting people to hope, to each other, and to the future they are determined to build. When we look at Africa's long history, one of the biggest challenges has always been the question of independence. Not just political independence, but economic and infrastructural independence as well. Many nations on the continent may have achieved freedom from colonial rulers decades ago, but in reality, they still depend heavily on outside powers for development projects, financial support, and even basic infrastructure. That is why an initiative like this one is so powerful. It is not just about roads, buildings, or physical construction. It is about showing Africa and the world that the continent can take control of its own destiny. It is about saying, we don't have to wait for others to build for us. We can build for ourselves. And that is a bold step toward true independence. What makes this initiative so remarkable is that it challenges the deeply rooted belief that African countries always need foreign intervention to grow. For too long, international companies have come in, taken contracts worth billions, and built roads or power plants, but often at a cost that left countries drowning in debt. The people who were supposed to benefit became bystanders in their own story, watching outsiders profit while they carried the burden of repayment. But here, the narrative flips completely. The people themselves became the builders, the creators, and the drivers of transformation. This is not only empowering, it is revolutionary. Think about what that means on a human level. Mother who has spent her whole life walking dusty paths to fetch water or sell produce can now travel with ease because of a road built by her own community. A child who once struggled to reach school because the journey was too far or too unsafe can now dream bigger because access has improved. A farmer who couldn't transport his harvest quickly enough to markets now has a way to earn more, feed more, and live with dignity. These are not abstract ideas. These are real changes in real lives. And the best part is, the people didn't have to wait on anyone else to make it happen. They came together, believed in themselves, and did it with their own strength. This initiative also represents a psychological transformation. For centuries, African people have been told, directly or indirectly, that progress will only come if they wait for outside help. That mentality has been passed down from generation to generation, making many feel powerless. But this project breaks that chain. It proves that progress can come from within, from the soil, sweat, and determination of the people themselves. That shift in mindset is even more valuable than the physical roads, because once people believe in their own power, there's no limit to what they can achieve. It also strengthens the concept of sovereignty. Independence is not only about raising a flag or having a president. True independence is when a nation can make decisions without being forced into dependency. Infrastructure is one of the foundations of sovereignty, because without it, a nation cannot stand tall. Road, schools, hospitals, and energy systems are the veins that keep a country alive. By taking charge of these essentials, Africa moves closer to a future where it is not dictated to by foreign powers, but instead leads with its own vision. This initiative is also symbolic because it unites tradition with progress. The image of people working with their hands may seem old-fashioned in a world of machines, but in truth, it carries a deeper meaning. It shows that the strength of unity and the will to move forward are sometimes even more powerful than technology. It tells you the world that while Africa respects modernity, it will not wait for it. The continent is ready to build its future with whatever tools are available. That determination itself is modern. On a larger scale, this project is a model for the entire continent. Other nations can look at what has been achieved and draw inspiration. They can see that development does not always require billions in foreign loans, and that communities themselves can be the backbone of progress. That lesson can ripple across Africa, sparking movements of self-reliance, cooperation, and innovation. It may start with roads, but it can grow into schools, clinics, and even renewable energy projects. Perhaps the most emotional part of this story is the pride it creates. Pride in being part of something historic. Pride in proving doubters wrong. Pride in knowing that the sweat of ordinary citizens can create extraordinary results. That pride builds confidence, and confidence is contagious. It inspires young Africans to believe that their hands, minds, and unity can change their world. This initiative at its core is about freedom. Freedom from dependency, freedom from the limits set by others, and freedom to dream bigger. It represents a turning point where Africans no longer see themselves as passive recipients of aid, but as active builders of their destiny. It shows that independence is not a one-time event in history, but an ongoing journey that requires courage, unity, and vision. And in this journey, every road, every brick, every meter of progress laid down by the hands of the people becomes a statement to the world that Africa is rising, not as a shadow of others, but as a force of its own. If this story moved you and you believe Africa's future should be told with truth and power, then don't just watch, be part of it. Subscribe now to join this journey, hit that like button so more people can see it, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters, and together, we can keep these stories alive.